I'm live. Okay, welcome to the second installment of Studio Shanks Sundays live at 5 here on YouTube. At my address is YouTube, Patricia Shanks Voice. So I hope you'll come back and find me after today's episode and find last week's episode. I've learned a few things from last week. I don't think I've learned anything, though. I'm still working on my lighting. And the most nerve-wracking thing about this whole thing is the setup. And once I'm into the setup, once we're rolling, I feel a little bit better, but I'll take my own advice about breathing and I'll take a couple of deep breaths to relax. So today, what I wanted to talk about, the things that are on my mind this week, one thing is has to do with practicing we're still on the practicing topic from last week, is what is a vocal warm-up and what is a vocal exercise, a technical exercise. Okay, warm-ups are the things that you might do early in the morning or just before you need to go on stage to sing, things that just get your voice, make sure your voice is ready to go. And a warm-up might be a very simple thing. You might do the thing that we hear, the stereotypical me, 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 me type of exercise. And by the way, me, 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 and we'll get into this in a minute, is the M is something that should hum and buzz in the mask area. And E is the most forward vowel placement. So that's why that stereotypical me, 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 me exercise has a lot of merit. But warm-ups are usually things like light humming, something very light just to find that mask area without pressure behind it. Or it might be a siren, just a wee, something. I don't want to do that too loud. I don't know if I'll overload a microphone. But some kind of a siren that takes you easily up and down your voice just to make sure that it's all connecting and placed properly and there's no pressure. Just checking things out. It's just a little sound check for you. Or the other thing might be a little lip trill or tongue point trill. Now, I'm going to talk for a minute about lip trills and tongue trills. Lip trills, both of them have ways they should be produced and ways they should maybe not be produced. Okay, the easiest one for most people is the motorboat lips or the baby brr thing. Okay, but what you want to do is, just to get it just right, you might try putting fingers right at the corner of your mouth and letting some air through. It kind of passes right under the roof of your mouth. Don't try to with your tongue or blah, 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 blah with your lips, because then you're overdoing it. That's not how it works. Let a little breath in and then and just let those things go for a minute. Okay, so that is a lip trill. Now, if you press on it from your abdomen from down below, you are creating some pressure here that you don't want, and that's not really doing you the service that you would like a little lip trill to do. I'm sure that's quite attractive. Okay, the other one that I actually prefer, but it tends to be a little bit more difficult for people to access sometimes, is the tongue point trill. Now, tongue point trill, there are different ways to roll your tongue. Some people do the very almost guttural, very, very far back. Some people do in the top of the mouth, kind of up there. And that's not it either. The one that really serves the purpose is the one that's right up behind the top front teeth. And if you have trouble letting some air in and then going with that tongue up front, again, you're probably going, you're probably trying to do something that you don't need to do, or you're inhibiting, if I could say the word, inhibiting it in some way. Again, probably over trying or just not used to it. There are several little tricks that can help you find that tongue point trill. One of them that I recall off the top of my head, there are a couple of others I never can remember, I always have to look them up, but one is what we tend to use to help singers who have to sing in Italian, the Italian word parti, P-A-R-T-I. And what you want to do is, and try this at home, it won't hurt a thing, is imagine that you're saying these words, P-O-T, pot, and then O apostrophe, like in O'Hara or something Irish. Pat, T-E-A. Parati, 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 parati. Now, if you say that, let some air in, then parati, 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 parati. You might be able to get that tongue to at least flip a little bit. And if it flips, it will roll. It's just that you have to fiddle around with it and see if you can extend that little flipping feeling. So there's an actual helpful hint for you. So, but a warm-up is making sure that things are going. Okay, that is a warm-up. Technical exercises. Now, there's one that technical exercises are exercises that actually teach you techniques that you can then apply to your song material. It might be singing through a little register shift cleanly without breaks. It might be making an interval leap from one note, maybe up 4 or 5 or more notes, and doing that cleanly and without a change in quality, without doing something strange to consonants or vowels, or more. There are many, many layers for many of these technical exercises. One exercise that comes up all the time is a cute one. It's either Mommy made me mash my M&Ms or Mama made me mash my M&Ms. And kids will do this very often as a warm-up in their, musical theater workshops or in choirs. But and it transfers into adults too. It's really a good exercise, even though it sounds juvenile. It's not. It's a good exercise, and the thing is, people will say it's for diction. It is for diction, but what people are doing is opening their mouth and saying, "Mommy made me mash my M&Ms." That is not what this exercise is for. This exercise is for finding that little gentle buzz that's the core, the strength of your tone, the easy strength of your tone, as opposed to a pushed or held or contrived strength. So it's finding that little and then opening it into vowels that have that same quality, that same character in that same mask area. So it should be Mommy made me mash my M&Ms, all in that area. There are positions of mouth and jaw and tongue that will service that. And a couple of things that need to be looked at, and there are all these little minute details that set this up so that it works just right. The tongue position, the position of the tongue is just placed lightly behind the bottom teeth, not pressed down to the gum root, just there like it would fall over if it could. Okay, that's home base for vowels, for tongue position, and for most everything that you sing. That's where the tongue should reside most of the time. The other things are for space. You don't necessarily open like that. That can actually distort the vowel and distort your sound and can cause you to have breaks as you kind of choke off the ability to track that vowel, to stay on track, to keep those little vowels in that song, that voice on track. So you don't want to do that. But for space, you do a few things. First of all, dropping the jaw. This is very often a misconception, is not pulling down on the chin. That's a tension causer, but it's just releasing the jaw in the back. And you'll see, again, this is, I'm sure, highly attractive. You'll see when you drop that jaw that it looks like the chin even sits back a little bit when you release that jaw. That's one of the things you do for space. Another thing that you do for space, and all these things are very subtle. They shouldn't be overdone. You don't go, you just release the jaw. Other things that you do are you want to feel a little lift in this kind of zygomatic area in your face. I mean that you put on a big smile or grin like this. The thing that I found, sometimes people say it's an inner smile. The beginning of a yawn, not so much a great idea because that makes other problems happen. But if you would think of something mischievous, it's kind of like, I know something you don't. And that gives you just that lift that you need there. It's not squinting your eyes and raising your eyebrows or doing any funny faces, but it's just that sense of, I know something you don't. And you can see that that gives you just that little lift there. A genuine feeling is what will help you get your natural voice and a genuine sound. If you're putting something on, you're causing tension, you're holding, it's not going to be effective necessarily, probably not. Okay, I want to tell, let's see what else. And the intake of air, of course. The intake of air is very important for making that space and for relaxing this area inside here, this pharyngeal, this area. And for lifting the soft palate, perhaps, a little bit. I've heard that the jury's in and out on that, but you do feel a sense of openness in there. And that goes along with suspended breath, which is something else that we probably will talk about somewhere along the way, is getting into that whole breath. The breath is the foundation and the core of everything that you do. Without the breath, the rest of it just really doesn't work. Okay, but this is important. So Mommy made me mash my M&Ms. Now, there is a website that I refer my students to constantly. There's one great one. There are some great ones. And also goes along with the YouTube site. This voice teacher, Karen O'Connor, has singwise.com. I don't mind at all. I love telling people about her. And her YouTube site is Singwise Vocals. So if you don't want to read her wonderful essays that really are fantastic, you can probably go to her YouTube and learn a lot there. I've watched some of her videos and they're terrific. So anyway, she has a couple of comments on singing with an open throat vocal tract shaping. To further emphasize what I'm talking about, only she's just so much better at it than I am. I just talk. So anyway, she is talking here. I've underlined a couple of things, how to and how not to achieve an open throat. She says that she sees a lot of things out and about in videos and things where people are demonstrating a technique that overly opens the mouth. And she says it's a common mistake, equating an open mouth with an open throat. And she says in reality, a jaw that's too low actually places tension on the larynx, yes, lowers the soft palate, and inhibits the effective closure of the vocal folds, which is the opposite of the desired effect. So these things, when they're done correctly, are very subtle. That's why people train, because you have to train. It's like painting. When you first learn to paint or anything, you slap stuff on the canvas and, you may have big bold colors and, a tree looks like something from third grade, but then you learn how to get perspective and you learn how to shade things and find shadow and you learn all the detail-y things that bring it to life and make it real art. So that's the work of training in singing, is getting to those places where you learn those subtleties. Okay, I don't want to go too long because I don't want to bore everyone. But let's encourage it. Okay, and the beginning of yawn, she talks about not a great idea. Okay, the posture of surprise. Okay, sometimes I'll say, it's like you're eternally mildly surprised, but I will say, don't hold. It's not like you're panic-stricken or fearful. It's an ongoing kind of fluid feeling of surprise, or that little, I know something goes on. Okay, yeah, you don't want to look ridiculous. Use the zygomatic area of the face. She apparently had an instructor who talked about lifting, and sometimes I'll talk about when you initiate a tone, it's kind of like you don't start on the bottom of a check mark, but you start on the lift of a check mark, you start on the upbeat, okay? And that's how you keep from having some pressures that actually will make your sound not as great as it could be. And she brought up using the neutral vowel Now, you have to watch out. Okay, if you can see here, I'm showing you my little neck. You see that? That is the base of the tongue. That's the back of the tongue, the root of the tongue, pushing down, and listen to what that does. Then we get that nasty kind of round sounding artificial sound. And you can also do that up high. You hear people doing that all the time. Don't do that. Okay, so if you say with your tongue pressing down, this is a problem. But notice how my tongue is forward. It's in a very comfortable kind of neutral position. And if you can sing from and not go, and have your tongue yodeling back here, that's an excellent exercise to help you keep that forward focus. So you might fiddle around with that. If you have questions, because this is, I can't go at length into anything, even here. And this is part of why I'm doing this, because I can't do this in lessons. Lessons go so fast, especially half-hour lessons. And we just have to hit a few points and work on song material and try and put it all together as we can. But hopefully some of this will encourage you to try these things out on your own. Please do comment if you have questions. Please send me some comments, emails. Let me see. I'll do a little bit more commercial here, and then we'll call it a day. You can find most of me if you go to patriciashanks.com. That will take you many places. I teach voice. I teach piano sometimes. I do voiceover work from time to time. And what else do? I write. And and I do some singing. So I have some. I used to sing classical. I used to sing as a professional chorister with LA Opera Association prior to it becoming LA Opera proper, and sang briefly as part over the summer as part of the Los Angeles Master Chorale. And I also was a professional chorister with Opera Pacific. So that was in my wicked past. And in my wicked present, I sing the Great American Songbook and things like that for fun and sometimes for events. And I really enjoy that a lot. So singers have to sing and teachers have to teach. And I hope that you are getting something out of some of these things that I'm talking about. Next Sunday, again, 5 o'clock, tell people. Hopefully, I'm giving you a little extra boost, a little extra information. But do visit singwise.com as well, and Singwise Vocals on YouTube. Her stuff is fantastic. Okay, I think that's it, and we'll see you next time.